Welcome to Indiana News Desk. I'm Joe Wren. The Southern Poverty Law Center says more than 400 hate crimes have occurred since the election. Reported incidents of vandalism and intimidation in Indiana are reigniting the conversation about the state's lack of hate crimes legislation. Barbara Brosier explains why the new push is unlikely to result in change.
The atmosphere inside this Indianapolis school feels different since the election.
It is alarming. We hear a lot of cases around the country where people are being attacked just because they happen to be Muslims.
All of the roughly 250 students at the MTI School of Knowledge are Muslim. Last month, someone sent them a threatening letter warning Muslims to leave the country.
It was not directly to MTI. It was a letter that was mailed apparently with the return address of West Lafayette, Indiana, but really from California, that was sent out to different organizations throughout the country.
The letter says President-elect Donald Trump will do to you Muslims what Hitler did to the Jews. The school is taking the threats seriously and beefing up security, but administrators say the incident illustrates a larger problem.
We do need laws to be passed to make sure that everybody's protected.
In the wake of the election, a Bean Blossom church was vandalized with hate speech. So was a transgender woman's home in Lawrence County and countless public spaces. While the FBI can investigate the incidents as hate crimes, they can't be prosecuted that way at the state level. Indiana is just one of 5 states that has no bias or hate crimes language on the books. Some lawmakers keep trying to change that, most recently during the 2016 legislative session. A proposed bill would have allowed a judge to increase the penalty for a crime if it was motivated by factors such as race, sexual orientation, gender identity, or religion. But it didn't even get a hearing in the House.
I was running out of time, but I also was running into the problem of the difficulty of defining what protected classes should be if you ever went down that path.
Democratic State Senator Greg Taylor says he'll introduce a proposal during the upcoming legislative session that would create an automatic enhancement for hate crimes, making misdemeanors felonies and raising each felony 1 level. But Washburn says he doesn't think hate crimes legislation is necessary.
In Indiana, we don't view the crime from the perspective of why you did it. We assume that all crime is generated by some hate at some level. It's hard to imagine a crime of violence that doesn't have some element of hate.
A religious policy organization called the Indiana Family Institute also opposes hate crimes laws. President Kurt Smith says prosecution of crimes should be limited to the facts.
To try to get inside people's heads, divine their motives, figure out intent, that can be hard. And so I think on one level, people see this as, can we do more to protect the LGBT community? But it's actually, I believe, the beginning of a potential politicization of our judicial branch of government.
Opponents also argue hate crimes legislation provides special protections for certain groups, like the LGBTQ community, while leaving others out. But legal experts say that argument is wrong.
Anyone with a race, anyone with a religion, anyone with sexual orientation, anyone with ethnicity. So in other words, everyone is protected by hate crime legislation, and crimes are punished against bias on the basis of those categories for all groups.
Bell says there are some cases that are difficult to prosecute when there are no hate crimes laws at the state level.
It is very hard to prosecute cross-burning as anything besides a misdemeanor, particularly if there is no damage. And often, in the case of cross-burnings, the only thing that's damaged is the burnt cross itself. So the individual who's targeted by the violence suffers no property damage, so not possible to charge it under any existing arson statutes.
The Indianapolis City Council passed a resolution condemning hate speech earlier this year, although it didn't change any local laws. And change at the state level isn't likely with a Republican supermajority during a busy budget year. For Indiana News Desk, I'm Barbara Brosier.
According to FBI data, hate crimes in Indiana jumped 34% from 2014 to 2015. But police departments aren't required to report those incidents to the federal government, and many don't. The FBI does often assist local departments with hate crimes investigations. Republican Senator Jim Merritt is proposing a bill of his own that would create sentencing enhancements, but only when criminals target off-duty police. Experts say such a law wouldn't be necessary if Indiana adopted hate crimes legislation.